Bill O'Reilly is going to go on an incredibly ironic rant where he calls Democrats dumb and lazy, but he also warns against propaganda.
Would you describe the economy as excellent, good, not so good, or poor? 1% excellent. They must have called Combs and Carville. 26% good. 40% not so good. 28% poor. That means only 27% of Americans have a positive opinion of the economy, and they're right. That should be a crusher for the Democrats in the upcoming election, but not so fast. Which party, Democrats or Republicans, do you trust to do a better job with the nation's problems? 39% Democrats, 37% Republicans, 14% neither, 4% both. So it's not a slam dunk for the Republicans next Tuesday. Bernie Goldberg and Charles Krauthammer have more on that coming up. Talking Points believes the American people are largely confused and that there will be a low turnout in the upcoming vote. There are two primary reasons for the confusion. Apathy is first. We're living in a narcissistic time where individual pursuits override the collective good. And secondly, poor education. As Waters' World proves every week, many American citizens are simply dumb. They don't know anything. And when you don't know anything, you'll buy anything. Propaganda rules.
The best description of Fox News I've ever heard in my life. When you're uneducated and you don't know anything, you're dumb. And then propaganda rules. Oh, speak about your viewers more, Bill. The only thing you needed to add to put the cherry on top is you're really, really old, too, because the average age of Bill O'Reilly's audience is about 70 years old. And on Fox News overall, I think it's mid to upper 60s. Go ahead, man, talk more and more and more about your audience. And it's so true. They really don't know anything. There was a study recently that found that people who watch no news know more than people who watch Fox News. So you're actually more intelligent if you're just ignorant, as opposed to if you watch Fox News and your head gets filled with all of this biased, partisan garbage nonsense. And then also when he talks about, the midterm elections and voting in general, about how, well, the problem is people are apathetic, lazy, narcissistic. The reason why a lot of people are apathetic in terms of the American political process is that they know that their voice doesn't mean anything. I mean, this has been backed up by political science research, which found that the opinions of the American people don't get weighed in terms of legislation and policies in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the only place where there's a link, where there's a correlation between the policies we get and somebody's opinion is when it's the opinion of the rich and the multinational corporations and the elites and the establishment and you name it. So the people who give money to the politicians, they get their way, whereas we don't get our way. The whole one man, one vote thing is long gone. I mean, it doesn't mean anything anymore. When 93% of the American people wanted a universal background check after Sandy Hook, where children got slaughtered and we couldn't get it, what does that tell you about the state of our democracy? It tells us it's not a democracy. It's a dog and pony show. It's kabuki theater. This is an oligarchy we have. And guess who set the policy for guns? The NRA. It was the NRA and the gun manufacturers who gave money to the politicians. And of course, they have a financial incentive not to want any regulations at all, so we didn't get any regulations at all. So that's why people are apathetic, and people are not lazy. They're busting their ass. They're working longer hours than ever. There was another article about that last week, about how Americans are working so fucking hard and putting in so many hours that we're actually slipping in terms of productivity because we work so hard that we're not as productive when we work because we don't get our batteries fully charged and we don't get enough of a rest. I mean, again, the perfect description of Fox News. It's amazing to think that a guy who was key in pushing for the war in Iraq. So a guy who was key in telling the American people there's a connection between Saddam Hussein and 9/11. There's a connection between Saddam Hussein and 9/11. He's got weapons of mass destruction. He's going to use the weapons of mass destruction on us. We need to invade. We need to go in. We need to do regime change. He pushed propaganda nonstop, which got us into a war where well over 200,000 Iraqi civilians were killed. Millions of people were displaced. Thousands of our guys died. We blew trillions of dollars And now he's going to come out here and lecture everybody about how, oh, don't fall for propaganda, and oh my God, you guys need to educate yourselves better. Look in the mirror. You're guilty of everything you're accusing Democratic voters of being guilty of.